Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you are watching this for the first time, welcome. You have arrived at exactly the right moment because today we are talking about something that I genuinely believe is going to be one of the defining stories of the entire BTS World Tour Erarang era. And I want to be very clear from the start that when I say defining, I do not mean that casually. I mean that years from now, when people look back at this tour, when they trace the arc of what this comeback meant and what it produced and what it said about ParkJimin as an artist and as a cultural force, the Las Vegas chapter is going to be one of the chapters that everyone points to. And at the center of that chapter is a title. A specific, deliberately chosen, publicly bestowed title that Korean media, which does not hand out titles like this lightly and which does not respond to international fan enthusiasm alone without independent journalistic basis, chose to attach to ParkJimin's name after watching what he did across 4 nights at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The title is Concert God. And today we are going to talk about everything that went into earning it. Let us start with what that title actually means, because I think context matters here, and the cultural weight of how Korean media operates is something that international audiences sometimes miss or underestimate. Korean entertainment media is not a monolith, but within it there are outlets and journalists and critics who have been covering the K-pop industry since before most of the current generation of fans were following it, who have seen literally thousands of performances and hundreds of tours, and who have developed standards and frameworks for evaluating live performance that are grounded in years of exposure to the very best the industry produces. When one of those outlets, or multiple outlets simultaneously, chooses to highlight a performer using language like Concert God, they are not just reflecting the enthusiasm of a fan base. They are making an independent editorial judgment based on their own professional assessment of what they witnessed. And Korean media witnessed Jimin in Las Vegas and reached for the highest language they had available. The specific framing that came out of the Korean coverage was striking in its consistency and its directness. Explosive performances. The king of the stage. Enthusiastic applause and cheers from the audience. These are the phrases that recurred across the coverage, and what they collectively paint is a picture of a performer who did not just meet the expectations set by one of the most anticipated concert tours in recent memory but exceeded them so thoroughly that journalists who are professionally trained to maintain critical distance found themselves reaching for superlatives. That does not happen routinely. That does not happen for performances that are merely very good or even consistently excellent. That happens when something genuinely extraordinary occurs on a stage in front of an audience and the people whose job it is to describe it truthfully find that their normal vocabulary is not quite adequate to the task. Now I want to set the scene for what Las Vegas during Erarang actually looked like, because I think it is important to understand the context in which Jimin delivered these performances. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas is not a small venue by any measure. It is one of the premier stadium concert venues in the United States, purpose-built to an architectural standard that prioritizes the spectacle of large-scale events, with a capacity that puts tens of thousands of people in the room with the performer. And the Las Vegas audiences for the Erarang tour were not passive observers. The energy in that building across all 4 nights of the run has been described by everyone who was there as something that fed back into the performance in a way that created a kind of loop between stage and audience, where Jimin's energy generated audience response that generated more energy from Jimin that generated more response from the audience, building across the course of each show to something that people who experienced it are still trying to find words for. The hair changes. The freestyle dancing. The physicality. All of these became major talking points on social media during and after the Las Vegas shows, and Korean media noted specifically that across 4 days of concerts in Las Vegas, the reaction to Jimin was intense in a way that distinguished him even within the extraordinary overall context of BTS World Tour Erarang. His hair, which changed in appearance across different performances and which has become one of the most discussed aesthetic elements of his entire Erarang era presentation, became a topic in itself. The freestyle dance moments, those sections of the show where Jimin moves beyond the fixed choreography into territory that is genuinely improvised and genuinely responsive to the specific energy of that specific moment on that specific night, were described by people in the audience as some of the most mesmerizing live performance moments they had ever witnessed in any concert context. And the physicality overall, the way Jimin inhabits the stage, the way his body communicates things that words and even traditional choreography cannot fully express, was consistent across all 4 nights in a way that left journalists genuinely impressed by the stamina and the consistency of the delivery. But now I want to talk about the specific moment that became the single most viral piece of content to emerge from the entire Las Vegas run, and possibly from the entire Ararang tour so far, because understanding this moment is essential to understanding why the Concert God title landed with the impact that it did. During the first night of the Las Vegas shows, a video was captured that showed Jimin, in the middle of a performance, turning his attention briefly toward a security team member positioned near the stage. And he smiled. That is the description. Jimin looked at a security guard and he smiled. And that video, that simple, brief, completely unscripted moment of a performer acknowledging a person in their peripheral environment with a genuine smile, accumulated 69 million views in 5 days. 69 million. And 9 million likes. And 53,000 comments. I need you to sit with those numbers for a moment because they are genuinely staggering even by the standards of content that goes viral in the BTS universe, which has produced some of the most extraordinary viral statistics in the history of social media. 69 million views in 5 days for a clip of someone smiling. And the comments section of that video reads like a collective documentation of human beings being utterly and completely undone by a single person's smile. Someone wrote that it looks like a scene from a film. Someone else wrote that it could be a book cover. And then there is the comment that made me laugh out loud when I first read it, which is someone writing that they are immediately going to apply for a job in security. 53,000 people went to the comments section of that video and left a record of what happened to them when they saw Jimin smile at a security guard during a concert in Las Vegas. 53,000 individual human responses to one moment. One expression. One completely spontaneous, completely genuine, completely Jimin thing. And this is where I want to dig into something that I think is at the core of why the Concert God title resonates so deeply and why Las Vegas produced the reaction it produced from both audiences and media. Because the smile moment is not separate from the performance moments. It is not a contrast to the explosive dancing in the freestyle sections and the physical intensity that Korean media described. It is part of the same thing. It is an expression of the same quality that makes Jimin extraordinary as a live performer, which is the quality of full presence. Complete, total, undivided presence in the space he occupies, with every person in that space, for the entire duration of the performance. The smile at the security guard happened because Jimin was present enough in that moment to notice a person standing near the edge of his performance space and to respond to that person's existence with genuine warmth. He was not in his head calculating his next move. He was not running through the rest of the setlist in his mind. He was there, completely there, in that specific moment, and a security guard happened to be nearby, and Jimin smiled at them. And 69 million people watched it and felt something shift inside them. That quality of presence is the rarest thing in live performance. It is rarer than technical skill, which can be taught and developed through practice. It is rarer than stage charisma, which can be cultivated through experience and coaching. It is rarer than physical ability, which can be built through training and conditioning. Full presence, the genuine capacity to be completely in the moment of a performance rather than managing it from a slight mental distance, is something that either exists in a performer or it does not. And in Jimin it exists in extraordinary measure. It has always been there, observers who have followed his career from the beginning will tell you, but Las Vegas during Ararang gave it a platform and an audience and a viral documentation that brought it to the attention of people who may not have had it on their radar before. The Korean media coverage specifically highlighted the freestyle moments as evidence of this presence, and I think that is exactly right. Freestyle dancing in the context of a major world tour performance is not something every performer is capable of or comfortable with. The fixed choreography of a BTS show is itself extraordinarily demanding, requiring months of rehearsal and physical conditioning to execute correctly night after night. Adding freestyle sections to that, creating space within the show for improvised movement that responds to the specific energy of that specific night rather than following a rehearsed pattern, requires a kind of courage and a kind of presence that not every performer possesses even if they have the technical dance ability to execute the freestyle itself. You have to trust yourself completely in those moments. You have to be willing to be in the unknown, to not know exactly what your body is going to do next, to allow the music and the crowd and the specific emotional temperature of that specific performance to guide you somewhere that was not planned. That is a vulnerable place to stand on a stage in front of tens of thousands of people. And Jimin stands there every night and produces something extraordinary. The Arirang era specifically has been notable for the way Jimin has leaned into this aspect of his performance identity. Across different stops on the world tour, fan accounts have consistently noted that no two Jimin performances are identical, that the freestyle moments in particular evolve and shift and surprise in ways that make attending multiple shows across the tour a genuinely different experience each time rather than a repetition of the same spectacle. People who attended multiple Las Vegas nights reported that the energy was different on each of the 4 nights, that Jimin found different things in the music on different evenings, that the freestyle moments surprised even people who had seen the show the night before. That level of genuine spontaneity sustained across a multi-night stadium run is something that very few performers in the history of live music have been capable of delivering consistently, and the fact that Jimin delivered it across all 4 Las Vegas nights is part of what sent Korean media reaching for their highest available language. I also want to talk about the broader significance of Korean media bestowing this kind of recognition on Jimin at this particular moment in his career, because timing matters and the timing here is meaningful. ParkJimin is returning from military service. He is re-entering the world of public performance after a period of absence that was, for ARMY, an emotionally significant pause in a career that had been building extraordinary momentum. The question that hangs over any major artist's return from a hiatus, any period of absence from the public eye for whatever reason, is always whether the return will match the memory. Whether the artist who comes back will be the same as or better than the artist who left, or whether the gap in momentum will have cost something that is difficult to recover. Las Vegas answered that question for Jimin in the most emphatic possible way. The artist who came back to the world stage in BTS World Tour Arirang is not just as good as the artist who left. He is, by every available measure, better. More present. More fearless. More capable of reaching into the spontaneous and the improvised and pulling out something that feels inevitable rather than accidental. The military service did not diminish ParkJimin. It appears, somehow, to have refined him. And Korean media, watching him dominate Las Vegas for 4 straight nights, recognized that refinement and named it. The Concert God title also lands differently when you understand the competitive context of the K-pop industry. This is an industry that produces extraordinary performers with remarkable consistency. The training systems, the production infrastructure, the competitive environment of the industry, all of it combines to create live performers who are technically proficient at levels that would be considered exceptional in most other entertainment contexts. In that environment, where the baseline level of live performance is already very high, standing out enough to earn a title like Concert God from professional media observers is genuinely significant. It means that what Jimin did in Las Vegas was not just excellent by general standards but exceptional by the specific and demanding standards of an industry that knows what excellent looks like because it produces it routinely. And within BTS specifically, which has always been a group of extraordinary live performers who push each other to higher and higher standards through their collective dedication to the craft, Jimin occupying the Concert God designation is a statement about where he sits in a group that already sits at the top of the industry. This is not damning with faint praise. This is not saying that Jimin stands out among mediocre peers. This is saying that in a group of 7 men who are each individually extraordinary live performers, the one that Korean media reached for their highest title to describe after Las Vegas is ParkJimin. And that means something. It means something specific and it means something significant and it means something that ARMY who have been watching him for years and knowing in their bones that he was operating at this level will feel as a validation of something they have always known. Let me talk about the physicality element specifically because Korean media mentioned it prominently and I think it deserves its own examination. Jimin trained as a contemporary dancer before he joined BTS. His foundation in movement is not in street dance or in hip-hop choreography or in the K-pop idol training system, though he has mastered all of those vocabularies subsequently. His foundation is in contemporary dance, which is a discipline that prioritizes emotional expression and physical storytelling over technical virtuosity for its own sake. And that foundation, that original training in movement as communication rather than movement as demonstration, is visible in everything Jimin does on a stage. The way he moves does not look like someone executing choreography. It looks like someone using their body to say something that words cannot say. And in Las Vegas, across 4 nights of BTS World Tour Arirang, what his body was saying was received by tens of thousands of people in the room and by millions more watching online with a clarity and an emotional impact that produced the exact reaction that great art always produces, which is the feeling of having been seen and reached and genuinely moved. The security guard smile, I keep coming back to it, is almost a perfect encapsulation of this. Because it demonstrates that the quality Jimin brings to the big performance moments, the freestyle sections and the explosive choreography and the stage commanding moments that Korean media described, is not something he turns on and off. It is not a performance mode that he enters and exits. It is how he is on stage. All the time. In the big moments and the small ones. In the planned elements and the spontaneous ones. In the sections of the show that the production team designed to be spectacular and in the quiet transitional moments between them. The concert god is not a character that ParkJimin plays on a stage. It is what ParkJimin simply is when he is on a stage, fully and completely, with nothing held back and nothing managed and nothing kept in reserve. Las Vegas got 4 nights of that. And Korean media, watching those 4 nights, found the only language adequate to describe it. And I want to close this video by talking about what happens next, because one of the things that makes following Jimin's career at this moment particularly exciting is the sense that Las Vegas, as extraordinary as it was, is not an endpoint. It is a data point on a curve that has been consistently pointing upward throughout his entire career, and the question of where that curve goes from here, where the next extraordinary moment is going to come from and what it is going to produce, is one that fans and now apparently Korean media are asking with genuine excitement and genuine anticipation. The concert god title is recognition of what has already happened. But Jimin is still touring. There are still cities on the Arirang setlist. There are still nights ahead in venues around the world where he is going to walk out onto a stage and do what he does, and whatever he does is going to be what he does, which means it is going to be something that has never quite existed before in quite that way. ARMY knows this. ARMY has been watching long enough to know that with Jimin, the past extraordinary is not a ceiling. It is a floor. And Las Vegas just raised the floor again. The concert god title is real and it is earned and it is deserved, and somewhere in the weeks and months ahead, in a venue in a city that is about to have an experience it does not yet know is coming, Jimin is going to do something that makes even the concert god title feel like it was describing something smaller than the reality. And we get to be here for it. We get to watch it happen. And that is one of the genuine privileges of being an ARMY at this particular moment in time. Thank you so much for staying with this video all the way to the end. It genuinely means everything. Please hit the like button if this story gave you chills the way it gave me chills, leave a comment below telling me your favorite Jimin Las Vegas moment because I want to hear about it from people who were there and people who watched from home, subscribe to the channel because there is so much more coming from this Arirang era and I am going to cover every moment of it, and take care of yourselves. Purple you always. Purple heart.